So we've seen that we can react to click events so far and double click events, but there's more to events than meets the eye. Whenever an event happens in the browser, be that a click event or a mouse move event or a keyboard event, the browser creates an event object. And this event object contains information about that event. So what we can do in Vue.js inside our Vue instance and the methods that we create, we can take as an optional parameter that event object to find out information about that event. So let's do a quick example to demonstrate this. I'm going to create a button right here, which when we click it is going to log information about that click event. So we'll say log event info. Then we need to attach an event to this. So that's @ symbol, first of all, to say event. This is the shortcut for v on. And then it's going to be a click event and set that equal to log event. Now this method we haven't created yet, so we'll need to create that now. Log events. And then, like I said, this takes an optional parameter right here, the event object. So I'm going to call this E, but you can call it whatever you want. So now we can log this event object to the console and see what it's all about. So we'll say console.log E. All right, so let's view this in a browser, click the button, and we see this object logged to the console right now. And if we expand it, we can see a ton of information about that event. So we can see the client X, the client Y, so where the mouse is on the screen, whether the control key was pressed, or if we scroll down here, the target element, the timestamp, the type of event, so a click event, etc. So all of this is available to us now inside this function, and we could use it if we want to. So let's do another example where we do actually use this event. What I'd like to do is create some kind of square canvas on the screen. And when we hover our mouse over this canvas, it's going to find out the position of our mouse relative to the top left of the square and log it to the screen, right? So what we'll be looking at are these two properties right here, offset X and offset Y. These represent the position of the mouse within that element. So let us go to the HTML and create, first of all, a div with a class of canvas. And then we'll create some styles for this so we can see it properly on the page. So we'll say canvas, and then this will have a width of 300 pixels and a height of 300 pixels. Also a margin -top of 20 pixels and a background of DDD, which is a light grey. Okay, so let's see if we can see that on the screen. There it is. This is what we're going to be attaching the event to. And this event is going to be a mouse move event. So let's attach the event by saying @ then mouse move, that's the event name. And we'll set this equal to a function that we're going to call log coords, or coordinates if you like. So eventually what we'll be doing is outputting the X position and the Y position of our mouse within this square right here. So first of all, let's go to app.js and we'll create these coordinates on the data to begin with. So coords, and this will be an object because we need two properties inside this, the X property, and we'll set that to 0 to begin with, and also the Y property, which will also be 0 to begin with. Now let's output those first of all right here. So double curly braces, then coords.x, and then double curly braces to close it off. Then a comma, then another coords.y this time, and then double curly braces to close it off. Okay, so if we save this, it should be 0 and 0 up here, and we can see that. These errors are just because we don't have this log coords method created yet. So let's create that method now. Inside methods, we'll put a comma after log event, and then do log coords. Again, this is going to take the event object as a parameter. Now, we said we want the offset X and offset Y coordinates of this event object. And what we'll do is use those properties to update the X and Y in our own coordinate object. Then obviously, as those update, the value that we output inside the canvas is going to update to reflect that. So it's going to show us on the screen whereabouts our mouse is relative to the top left of that square. So let us say now that this.coords.x, so that's this thing right here, and we'll set that equal to the event object.offset x, and then we'll say this.coords.y is equal to e.offset y. And by the way, you'll notice that I'm not using semicolons at the end of statements here. And this is kind of a style in Vue.js. A lot of Vue developers don't use semicolons, and it looks clean without them, to be honest. So that's the style I'm going to adopt for this course. Anyway, let's save that now, and hopefully now this is going to work. So when we hover over here, we can see this value in the top left is updating to reflect the X position, that's the first number, and the Y position of the mouse on this coordinate. So the further to the right I go, the higher the X position gets, because the further from the left I go, the higher it gets, and the further down I go, the higher the Y coordinate gets. All right. So that is the event object. We're just kind of touching the surface here, and there's loads more to it, but we will be using it as we go forward throughout this course as well.